Welcome to Add a Little Dazzle. In today's video we are going to teach you how to heat emboss on metal. This is a really easy technique to use on metal, but there are some basic tips that you need to follow, especially because you're working with metal and you want to make sure that you don't burn yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. To begin embossing metal, there are some basic things that you're going to need. First of all, you're going to need a clothespin. This is very important as this is a tool that will keep you from burning yourself. In addition, you will need the embossing buddy. You will need a blender pen. You will need clear embossing powder, and you will need a classic stamping pad. Now, for this technique, my recommendation is that you use the new formulation of classic stamping pads that is available through Stampin' Up. And of course, you need your heat tool. And so once you have these tools together, you are ready to create this beautiful piece. Okay, so you need to have a work surface area and you want to put a piece of paper on it. And for this, I'm going to show you how to emboss a 4x5¼ inch piece of Princess Pink metal sheet. And this is going to be your card base. Now, first thing you need to do is you need to get your embossing folder. But when embossing, it is very important that you remember that this logo right here needs to be facing up. You need to be able to look at it. And then you open it and you place your metal with the color side up. If you do it this way and there's no logo that you can see, you're going to be debossing it. And so you want to be putting your logo and your color facing up, and this will allow you to emboss this piece. Now, because the Lacy Brocade Impressions folder has such intricate detail, it is important to note that when you emboss this, my recommendation is that there are no tabs on the end. If you do it with tabs, it will emboss, but because of the intricate detail and the pressure being put on it, it will cut some of your metal, and you don't want to do that. So make sure that you place it on here with no tabs. Place your cutting plate, put this on top your other cutting plate, and go ahead and emboss it. And once you've done that, we're ready to begin putting this beauty together. Okay, so here is my Princess Pink metal sheet, and the first thing I want to do is I want to get my embossing buddy, and I want to make sure that I completely cover this metal with this powder. The reason for that is because when you're going over this with the ink pad, a lot of that ink will go into these areas and create a smeared look. And for your first layer, you don't want a smeared look. And so you're going to make sure that it's nicely covered. And then you're going to take your classic pad. Here I'm using Bravo Burgundy. I recommend Early Espresso, but I let mine sit out and it dried. And I tried it with the old formulation of the old Stampin' Up ink pads, and it doesn't work. You need these because these are nice and juicy. And so here's Bravo Burgundy. And so I'm going to press down on it. And what you're going to see is that the ink is caught on those raised areas. Yes, some of it is caught in between, but it's not as much as it would if you were to ink the metal without the embossing buddy powder on top of it first. And so for this first layer, that's what you want to do. Now this is a messy technique, so if you want clean hands, you're not going to have that with this. So you can see my hands have gotten dirty. Now I do want to let you know that if you want to clean off the ink, you can use hand sanitizer with a high concentration of alcohol in it, and that will do it. And so here I've covered my entire piece. Yes, it's gotten some in there, but like I said, it could be worse. Now, if you don't like that and you wanted to remove that, then that's what you take your blender pen for, and you start clearing out those areas. But I like the effect that this creates because I'm going for a rustic antique look. And so here's my clear embossing powder, and I'm going to just sprinkle it over my metal, as you can see. And I want to make sure I cover all my areas. Now, don't worry that even though you use Embossing Buddy, it got all the areas. That doesn't matter, because the main thing you want is that the amount of ink that it'll catch if you don't do that is a lot more, and it won't look rustic. It'll actually look sloppy. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side. What you need to do is you need to take a clothespin and hold it right there. If you do not use a clothespin, you are going to burn yourself, and you're going to burn yourself badly. Ask me how I know? Through experience. So let's go ahead and emboss this piece. And you're going to notice that as you start embossing it, you'll know it's ready, that area, because it will get shiny. Make sure that there's no white left. That's how you know that it's all embossed. Now, this is very hot, so I would allow it to cool off for a couple of seconds. There, it's pretty cool now. And so, as you can see, I've created that beautiful look. Now, if I want more texture to it, if I just want to depthen it at more depth, then go in again and just go in a circular motion over the metal. Now this time you don't need an embossing buddy. You're okay now. It was just that first layer that you wanted the embossing buddy for. And then you're going to put more clear embossing powder over it. And the reason is because the clear embossing powder allows the ink to set into the metal without smearing, because if you don't do that, the ink will not hold to the metal. So this will allow you to have the ink hold to the metal. So let's go ahead and heat emboss it again. And we'll just let it cool off for a sec there. And that is all there is to it. Now, I will teach you in another video if you really want to clean up the areas on how you can do that. But for this particular design, I didn't want that. I wanted a more rustic Western look. I'm going to be using this image on there, and as you can see, that just really adds that rustic look to it. But there's a lot more involved to this card. Pictures and a PDF tutorial on today's blog post, which is February 8th, 2012, teaching you how to create the female version of that horse card. On Thursday, February 7th, I posted the male version of it, and both of them are actually amazing, beautiful, and with this background, it just really creates that Western look you're going for with that shiny finish. And so as you can see, it's very easy to create this background, just a couple of tools, and you are on your way to creating beautiful heat embossed backgrounds on metal sheets. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at monica@addalittledazzle.com, and I also invite you to check out the Add a Little Dazzle virtual club. I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek on the blue version of this, and this is for the male, and I have something special coming up in the Add a Little Dazzle virtual club that is a perfect masculine gift that no man will turn down, and you don't want to miss out. That will be released on Monday, February 11th, but you have to be a virtual club member. So if you're not, go on over to www.addalittledazzle online and sign up today. Thanks, and have a dazzling day.